We're meeting such a audience which comes from across the world and comprises of industry, academic institutions, and everyone who has a role to play in urban issues and urbanization. What differentiates the India Smart City mission, and I've talked to many people across the world, are these 5 things. It's not about technology. It's not about one single person who heads an organization or a prince or a prime minister or a mayor who says, I will make a smart city. It's about the citizens of the city saying that we will make our city smart. It's about competition. It's about convergence. It's about so many types of convergence. It's about convergence on funds. It's about convergence on technologies. It's about integration of, when we talk of a solution, if I come to a company like yours and say, give me the solution for this, that's never going to happen. Because, solutions, technology is one part of the solution. Where is the policy going to come from? Where is the physical infrastructure going to come from? Where the human resources, the capacity going to? It's always a bouquet of things. So convergence is required. Then comprehensiveness. It's about, being inclusive for everyone in the city. It's about every person in the city feeling a part of this movement. Collaborations. Look out globally, look out nationally, see what's happening across the world and use that. 100 cities, 100 million people. That's the mandate of the Smart Cities mission. Urban India contributes about 65% of India's GDP. These 100 cities contribute 17% of the overall GDP of the country. Well, so far, 100 cities have been selected through the competition. 100 companies exist in these cities. We are close to 123 trillion rupees of projects at the moment. And if we go at the same pace at which we are going, in June when we complete 4 years of the mission, we will be at 173 trillion rupees, and out of which 106 trillion rupee projects would actually have been in various stages of implementation, reaching completion. We're working on 4 different things within the mission. One is, of course, ease of living. How do you improve how people feel about their city? Then connected communities, participatory governance, circular economy. If you have heard of how Indore transformed from being what it was to the cleanest city in the country, it's all about connecting communities. Then sustainability. Cities for today, of course, but cities for the future. Imagine the kinds of decisions we make in our cities. How does it affect the equilibrium that exists with today and future is something that we need to see. And all this happens because of smart governance. So that's another area where you build inner efficiency within government, you build transparency. Most importantly, when you're working with technology, build trust with communities. We do this exercise, as I said, we are now focused on outcomes. And we as a mission in the country have to realize that projects is the last layer. We have to measure what outcomes our city is having. We also have a framework to analyze how our municipalities are performing vis-a-vis each other. Our Smart Cities has a fellowship program. I would request and invite people from across the world to participate. We have fellows who have come in from Japan and most other parts of the world. They're working with us now. We have 40 fellows in our team. We want to know so many things about our city. Our city actually is changing rapidly, so you need to know about, you have your own interests and you need the city to tell you about what is happening in those areas of interest. And essentially what we talk about when we talk about platforms is, well, there are people we need to serve, there are processes by which these people are served, and there are platforms which enable those processes. Although these 3 things are important, but I think the better way to represent this would be this. Platforms are enablers which enable processes which actually change things in the life of people. So people at the top, let us not get carried away with our platforms and technology unless it reaches to the top, it reaches the 3-level thing and reaches the people and says we're making a difference in the lives of people. I would request all of you to be associated with us. This is open source, this is collaborative, we're building it in real time. There are lots of people who are working together out of multiple different places in the globe who are trying to build these platforms. We would learn, of course, from what FIWARE has done, somebody else has done. Innovation today doesn't mean discovering something new. Innovation is more of a combination of things which already exists. And the best innovators are those who actually can make those combinatorial success stories happen.
I'd like to explain what FIWARE is and how it is adopted on a global scale, and maybe give you an idea of how could it be of benefit also here in India. FIWARE, it's all about context information. Information describing what's going on, when, where, and why in a city, but also in other verticals. But here I'm focusing on cities and smart cities. But very often this data are organized in silos because interfaces don't fit to each other, data models don't fit to each other, organizations, companies are not keen in sharing data, and our mission as FIWARE is to break down these silos and to make data and information accessible on a platform, finally to increase the quality of life of citizens in a city and to reduce the cost of operating a city. What is FIWARE? It is a framework of open source software components. FIWARE is not only software, it also comes with standards, and one standard is an open API, an open interface. It is called Next Generation Service Interface. De facto standard in some European countries, and since January 24th, so roughly 1 month ago, also the global standard for context information management in cities. This is the full-blown architecture of FIWARE. I don't want to go into details, but again, here in the center, the context broker, southbound, the interfaces, all are NGSI-based, so all are following a standard interface, and on top, the functionalities to create smart solutions. We're talking about right-time data because, for example, knowing the position of a bus in a city, it is sufficient to have this information every, let's say, 5 seconds. To know whether a traffic light is green or red, if you want to use this for managing the traffic flow, you should have this information every 100 milliseconds. But you don't need this information in real time, which means 10 milliseconds or less. That's why we are talking about right time. And then in the final step, once a city has been able to create the smart city platform, to provide this platform also to third parties in the city, to other organizations, to companies in the city, to enable them to monetize their data. And by this, paving the way for the data economy. So that are the steps. Takes minimum 3 years, maximum, depending on the situation in the country and the regulations, up to 5 or even 10 years to go through this path. In the meantime, 125 cities from 26 different countries are building their smart city based on FIWARE. It started in Europe and hopefully also starting here in India. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ulrich has already talked about FIWARE, so I'll not speak much about it, but about the implementations that we have done. Just to give a brief, this is what we do. We do consulting, build up mobile-enabled applications, build smart city solutions, and cloud-based solutions. All of the solutions that we do are using open source technologies. These are few of our clients. In smart cities, there are 3 solutions that we have. We have built up a shared services platform using FIWARE, which we will be talk about. Then for World Bank, we have built up a collaborative platform known as ICTs for Green Growth, which is primarily to bring across best practices from various countries, along with the cities who are going to use these practices. Then purely on open source technologies, we have built up a one city, one app platform where various services can be downloaded by the cities. But for the prototype that we have built, we have used 3 main components. One is the underlying IoT engine from various IoT devices and mobile devices, the information is going to a central context broker. The function of context broker is to process and analyze all the data from multiple sources and contextualizing the information for various services. So this is the underlying architecture where you have an IoT network, various services at the back end, then there are NGSA agents which are going to specific applications, and on top of that, you can contextualize it by, and then you can have BI tools and dashboards, etc. The solution that we have built up for World Bank, it is using 7 components. There is a health application, which is a mobile-based application. There is smart parking, which is using IoT device. There is smart lighting, which is using IoT device. There is fire monitoring IoT device. Then there is IoT device for temperature and humidity monitoring, one SOS device, and then there is a citizen engagement application which is built up on mobile. and all these applications can talk to each other. All the solutions that we have built up are purely using open source technologies, including FIWARE and other open source technologies. So that is all, and any questions can be asked. Thank you.
Journey in India of urban development had turned from municipality. When I was in administration, we used to say municipality ke usko bula lo municipality. That was a term as a not to be heard goodly, but now everybody says smart cities. There is a change from municipality. We are being revered by everybody. All the media persons just come to me and ask when our city is going to become smart. So a change from there to here is being seen. You all might be observing it also. When you can visit the second tier cities also. Delhi and metro, you will always find something. But when you comes to the second tier of cities, you will find a lot of change in the people, how people perceive administration, especially urban administration. We are not getting funds because of our political clout or our understandings. Now we are getting money out of competition. We are competing with all the cities to get our share of money for our city. Today, people had hired 150 crore rupees day before yesterday's. People in Ujjain are waiting for me to come there, so that I have brought 150 crores on my personal efforts with the help of ministry. And I am at the execution level. Whatever I need anytime, the ministry is always ahead of us. And you have just seen the 2 or 3 videos. That is the thing which you would be liking in months from now onwards. So they have already developed for us. So this is the way urban development is going in India, and it's nice of you all to invite me here to give me my point of view as an executor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Smart city, yes, there are a lot of efficiencies, energy discussions, making things work efficiently, sustainability is there. But the whole thing is about the citizens. Today, citizens are connected, and how do we make these two work together? So if you remember his slide, so there was people, and then of course there was the infra and the information service providers and the infrastructure out there. So light is essential to our life. Light, even in the best of the metro cities, Mr. Awadhesh Kumar was talking about, you'll see a lot of metro cities, etc. A lot of us live in these metro cities, but we can still tell you that there are parts of the city which are not well lit. When we started this project with Mr. Kunal Kumar about 2.5, 3 years back, it was more about energy efficiency. It was about ability to save energy. We are saving 60% plus energy in the city of Pune, which has obviously enabled it to pay back the investment that has gone into creating that infrastructure very clearly. We have these APIs, which is allowing newer apps to be designed on it. I started with that simple example of the citizen. Suppose you can create an app for the citizen to be able to take a photograph of the light outside his home, which is not working, and then you have the different modules of GPS, data, etc., which can then quickly triangulate and send the message across to the engineer who is responsible for the maintenance of the light, and somebody can be dispatched quickly. In Los Angeles, what we did is, this is the one we were talking about. So you have installed these sensors which can detect the level of sound. So if there is and you define your standard. So for example, if there's a gunshot happening there, since these lighting poles are statically situated and you have the GPS coordinates for that, you could quickly find out where this incident has happened and then move or mobilize your resources accordingly to be able to do that quickly. So as you can see, whether through environment, through these incident detection sensors, etc., that are getting integrated onto our lighting platform, we are able to provide a much better, secure environment for the citizens of the cities that we are working on.
Since 1864, DnB CL has enabled organizations to advance safety and sustainability of their businesses. And over the last 50 years, we have also gained a solid credential as a third-party software vendor, while solving technical and operational challenges related to industrial assets. For building a smart, livable, and sustainable city, our focused area has been on 3 counts. One is, of course, the digital and connected. Second one is how prepared and resilient the cities would be, because this aspect is largely ignored. And third one is, of course, cyber secure and safe. So DnB CL has a digital and connected cities platform called Veracity. It is a cloud-based open platform for digital innovation and collaborations. So it has basically, I would say, 3 different applications. One is the secure data quality management, and second is the efficient data sharing among various stakeholders. And third one is that how those data are built up and used as a big data analytics. So this is a IoT and data architecture-based Veracity, which is common for all cities. So what we have tried to do with is that, this will give a basic infrastructure which will avoid reinventing the wheels. At the same time, it will give enough room for any kind of customizations. One interesting fact is that the same algorithm can be used for seemingly different applications. Second use case I have is, the building the digital twins for cities. We have various assets like, the communications, we have, the transportation systems, we have industries, we have buildings. So what we can do is that, we can build the digital twins which will be helpful for assessing the performance as well also assessing the design lifetime.
We invented the network IP cameras almost 2 decades ago, and we continue to hold the leadership position. What I would talk today is some of the best practices globally and the cities that consider surveillance as a solution, not just for the safety aspect, but also use it as a data collection solution as well. India has a very diverse climatic conditions. So a city, while choosing its solution, has to be considering varied lighting conditions, day and night, because we have cities which have long days and shorter evenings, and shorter evenings and long days. Surveillance also influences other technologies like your bandwidth and storage. So while choosing a surveillance solution, a city also needs to understand what is the amount of bandwidth and the storage a surveillance would need. And there are technologies which are available to consume less bandwidth and storage. Everybody talks about cybersecurity, right? Everybody spoke about the encryption levels. So what it basically translates is a solution should not have any backdoor entry. One of the few highlights here is the way we control our traffic. Today, you see the digital meters in every signal, right? So what is the science behind the number of seconds that the digital meter has? It could be 30 seconds or a minute, right? It is all fed manually. But the new solutions is all demand-based. The camera will look into a lane which has more density, and that road will have greener light turned on, whereas the other road with lesser density will be turned red. So while deciding a solution, my urge to the decision makers here is to consider a total cost of ownership for the products and solutions. And of course, there are other considerations globally like GDPR and environmental responsibilities as well for everyone to consider, right? That's about it. Thank you.